Yeah, exactly. Yeah. We'll put this in the cold open if we get to. On top of the other thing we talked about last night. Um, have y'all ever
Red lights
had to
on.
have you ever had to utilize a service and you can't believe the service exists because it's so stupid, and you also can't believe it's somebody's job to facilitate what you need out of this service. I can't you look at the whole situation like this is so fucking silly. There's no reason this should be happening.
Would you like to give an example?
Yeah, okay, I'll give you a perfect example. Perfect example. So today, all right, so yesterday was my birthday. Okay. And Katie is on me all the time because I use when I use apps to order stuff or whatever, or I go into a store, I never join rewards programs. I don't care. I don't want
Right.
you texting me. Don't give me notifications. I have enough stuff on my phone that I don't look at as it is.
Right.
And so she was like, yeah, yesterday she was like, you got to go to all these places and get your free birthday stuff. And I was like, I did none of this. But I did want to go to Starbucks though, and I do actually have Starbucks rewards. And so I was like, okay, I'm gonna get my free coffee. Well, as luck may have it, I've had rewards for 3 years. But my birthday apparently I just never put it in the app. So I didn't, you know, so I didn't get a free coffee. I went to another place, I got a free coffee there yesterday, so it didn't matter. And then today I was doing something and I had to wait for a minute and I got bored and I was like, I bet Starbucks, the app has a chat feature, a support feature. And they did. And then so I get on the chat and I'm talking to this person, I'm explaining the situation. And just halfway through, I'm like, I can't believe that somebody's job for to be on the other end supporting me, bitching about I didn't get my little sweet treat for my free birthday drink, and I'm so upset about it. And I'm like, this is so stupid that I'm doing it, right? You know
Yeah.
what I mean? People used to buy a house from Sears Roebuck, and they would get the wrong house, and it didn't matter. You just dealt with it. And here I am, 100 years later, and I'm like, I had a $9 coffee. I didn't get my free coffee.
And just think, there was
And
a time. Just think, there was a time where your ancestors were hunting animals barefoot, trying to survive on the land, and then
there
here
was,
you come.
yeah, there was a time when my ancestors. I can't. Well, we can't put this in. Never mind. But but I just looked at the situation and I looked at the chat log and I just felt so dirty for having done all of this just for a free $9 coffee that I could have went and got anyway. And I was like, all right, this is stupid. This is silly. So
I mean, $9 is $9, bud.
it's whatever. I
People have
mean,
done worse for or
I
less.
got everything. I got the works on that motherfucker. I ain't gonna lie to you. I wore their ass out on that son bitch.
Good for you. I'm
Yeah,
This
glad.
man had the extra whipped cream that drizzled down the
man,
cup
I'm
and
gonna
all
tell you
of it.
something, bro. I got the damn shaking espresso horchata son of a bitch. Uh, with the
You got
damn
the year
chocolate cold
3000 drink. That drink
foam
just
and
came out.
yeah, bro. I know. I just saw it the other day and I was like, damn, bro, everything is horchata now. This shit sound good as hell. I'm gonna go get it. And so I got it today. And yeah. I mean, I wore their ass out on it. I ain't gonna tell you that much, but I'll tell you that much. But anyway,
Well, Carl got his birthday drink. Happy belated, Carl. See, that wasn't that bad. I thought you was going to come in here and say something else going
Yeah,
to
I ain't know
entice
where
the
that
riot.
went.
no, 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 no. That's all I was saying. But then yesterday, and this is what we were laughed about yesterday was what did I say? I said uh, what were we talking about yesterday, and something about uh, I always have problems with the cops.
Oh yeah, you were
Ah, yes. The one that
you were
talks
Yeah,
trying
back
to
to the
give legal
police.
advice.
yeah,
Yeah, we were like, you got
yeah,
the most
yeah.
interactions. You lead the
Have the
league.
most interactions with the cops, and it's like given the company of everybody that's been on this podcast, that's kind of insane when you look at it. Really, I mean, truly, how am I? But then you guys are like, well, you're the only one that talks back, and and I'm like, you're damn right, I do every time, and I've yet to learn my lesson from that.
Well, one
And when's the
day.
next time you got to go pick up trash from the side of the 74?
I was supposed to go today, but I called in sick.
Because I'm going to have my $9 extra large Starbucks that day, and I'm going to come find you.
Hey,
I'll make a deposit. Give you some work.
I got you. And I had to do the community service another weekend. It'll be like that scene from Breakfast Club where they go in there. He's like, "That's another." And he's like, "That's another." Yeah, I don't know what I'm talking about. Never mind.
This man gonna have tally marks. That's crazy.
Yeah, probably so.
Y'all ready?
Yes.
Let's get this knocked out. Welcome to another episode of Victory Lane Vibes. We are your hostesses with the mostesses. It's like the OGs are back. It's Carl, it's Art, it's Peyton, it's Jared. We are here post the 600 festivities.
We had to take the wave around. We coming. We coming back.
Yeah, we definitely had to take a lucky dog. Had to take the lucky dog this week, but it's all good. You waited for greatness. That's all that matters. Y'all have a good Memorial Day. Everybody stay safe. No
We
lost
made it. We're
limbs
here.
or phalanges.
I mean, it
Phalanges
rained
lost.
here. It felt like November here.
That probably kept you safer, honestly.
Probably. Well, no, I mean, I don't know. We went and we knocked down that bottle of Jose I brought back from Mexico.
This man knocked down a bottle of Jose. Like you just
I
said that
didn't.
so
I wasn't. It wasn't by
calmly,
myself.
like it's
It
everyday
wasn't by
activity.
myself. It wasn't by myself.
Were you
by
scouting for
myself.
the street course or the road course? Is that why you went to Mexico?
No, well, no, I was on the boat. I tried to go to that part. They told me I couldn't. I said, "Well, can we take the boat over there?" And they said, well, "There's no waterway." And I said, "Well, can we just can I borrow? What can we do?" And I was like, well, "I'm a part of a very important podcast in America, America."
And they said,
And,
"Son, you ain't in America no more."
Yeah, I tell you what, man, and we'll get back on track here in just a second. But they drive. It makes the ARCA series look like F1 drivers, man. We got in this 6-person taxi to go to this resort, and the guy took off, and he didn't want to wait on traffic to get out of the parking lot, so he just drove straight out and then into oncoming traffic and past 6 other cars and back into our lane. And I was like, yeah, you know what? Actually, maybe it needs to be the Gulf of America after all, because this right here,
Come on.
this is a little much. This is a little much. Anyway, I'm sorry. I apologize, everybody.
As I say all the time, this is someone's first episode.
I'm not condoning anything else. I'm
This is
just saying,
someone's first episode.
I'm not condoning anything else. Look, my impression of Mexico was this, okay? I had terrible tacos. All right, I was very upset about that. We go to a resort. We paid $65 to be there for the day. The food was awful. I got stung by a jellyfish. Everybody and their mom has been like, "Well, why didn't you get peed on?" Like, well, I'm gonna let that happen.
What?
I almost got killed in a vehicular accident. They were trying before we got in the taxi. They were trying to hustle me into renting a Jeep Grand Cherokee down there. And I was like, yeah, so it can break down on me or whatever. And you guys like take all my money off my card because you sold me a jalopy. No, thank you. And then I got pressured into buying a bunch of T-shirts and shot glasses. And I bought Mexican chocolate. And then I bought a bottle of that Jose. It was $22. So I will say, absolutely go to Mexico if you want to buy knockoff sunglasses, cologne, or cheap alcohol, because that was great. That was my best part of it all for me. So,
If this is your first time listening, welcome. For those returning customers, you already knew what it was when you heard Carl's voice. But anyway, let's get back on track. Let's try.
I'm sorry.
Peyton been muted the whole time, so I'm just trying to see if he's still cleaning the pork out of his teeth, or if he actually got something to contribute this evening.
I mean, I'm just trying to give my boys plenty of runway. I'm here.
That brother ate some
scary.
hog maws.
That's scary. You should never give Carl runway. The last thing you should
I'm
ever do is
fine.
give Carl runway.
Man, I'm gonna let my boy eat. I'm the point guard today. I'm just gonna go and keep my boys fed. So I'll just be in the cut. I'll come off mute when you need me.
What do you say fuck me for?
Oh no, you
can't have 2
back,
point
back
guards
to
now.
me.
Oh,
That's why
man.
Chris Paul couldn't go to the Lakers. You're doing too much. Anywho, Friday night truck race, Charlotte Motor Speedway. Can we rename it Lowe's? I was thinking about it the other night. Can Lowe's come back since
That'd
Home
be
Depot's
nice.
not in the series anymore? Thinking to just like reclaim those naming rights. I mean, you got to think that there's been an uptick in Lowe's business since code and all these, since the invention of TikTok and everybody wanting, build she sheds and stuff. Like you got to figure there's a market for a Lowe's Motor Speedway again, right?
Did you just say a she shed like it's 2015?
Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
no, but he's got a point because
Yeah,
we
he's not
were
wrong.
we
He's
were
out of line, but he's right.
right, yeah, because I was talking to my girlfriend the other day about like putting an awning over her like back little concrete area. I don't know what to call it, and she was like, "We probably just build one
patio.
just on yeah, it's a patio, it's a concrete slab, is what it is. I mean, it's nice. I'm not gonna lie, it's a nice house. It's the new studio for the podcast, but whenever I show up, but I was like, she was like, yeah, you can just build one. People on TikTok do it all the time, and I'm like, no, it's not happening.
All the time? I don't know.
Anyway, Corey Haim reminds everyone again why he's waiting in the wings for a new car to drive as he lays belt to ass for the truck race on Friday night. What y'all think of the truck race? Are him and Sheldon friends? Because they had the same sponsor. They had like the Friends of, what was it? Was it the Friends of People with Diabetes scheme?
Friends of, oh
Friends
yeah,
of people who have diabetes.
I thought it was
That's the scheme.
friends of Gwendolyn. I thought.
I don't think that's the name of it.
I'm gonna look at the picture of the truck. Anyway, Sheldon will be running
I've been on
the
Jay's
same scheme too. But yeah, what y'all think of the truck race?
We kind of just got to let Corey go to the Cup Series at some point, right? Like, he's starting to stink up the show.
Oh man.
Right? I mean, I feel like
yeah.
it's every week at this point. It's like, okay, it's Corey or the field. And the field loses most of the time. It feels like.
Yeah, I mean, I second that notion, and I don't have much else to say about the Truck Series. I will say I missed that show, but I was pretty pissed off about the way that North Wilkesboro ended. But that's different. But yeah, man, I mean, Corey is just kind of in a league of his own, so to speak. So I don't know. I mean, it was cool to watch. I didn't get to watch a whole lot of it,
And so you look at the stats. So led 73% of the laps in a field where you have Ross Chastain and Kyle Busch, former champions in Grant Enfield. No, Grant Enfield did not win a championship. Did he? Anywho, you have former champions in that field. He is truthfully the only person, in my opinion, any of the lower series that looks like they're cup ready. Like, there is not a single person, and I will bring this up again in the Xfinity Series race. There's not a single person that looks more cup ready than him. It is
absolutely.
He is an absolute waste of time here, and I will bring this up every single episode from here on out because, yeah, the only way he's going to lose is if his truck breaks down, and thank goodness his truck breaks down, and one of these other bums tries to go and dump him, and yeah, it's absurd. Good race though.
Yeah, I feel like Kyle Busch was the only one in the field. Well, I guess him and Ross, but I feel like watching Kyle just kind of consistently ascend all night. I was kind of expecting him to make a run there at the end. It just didn't work out for him. But that was really the most entertaining thing in the field, was just seeing if he could make it back. But yeah, I like. I feel like Ross is like a great guy to send to the lower series. We talked a couple times this year about should you or should you not send someone down, like the whole bushwhacking thing. I'm coming around to the stance that depends on the guy.
Yes.
Because I feel like if it's Ross and Kyle, like two guys who will dump you or like run through you, if it's Hocevar, who's the ultimate agent of chaos, even though he's Peyton's boy, I feel like those are okay. But if it's someone boring, like I don't want Larson in anything other than a Cup car ever again. Like I don't want to see him go down there and just try to dominate. Like that's boring to me. But Ross gives you that unpredictability, right? Where he might ruin a couple people's nights if you catch him wrong.
If I can add a little bit to that, I would, you can send guys down, but you just can't put them in the best equipment in the series because then it becomes incredibly boring. And that's why Kyle Busch finished, I don't know what, 5th, right?
Yep. Because
the Spire trucks are not apparently what the KBM trucks used to be, according to him, which that answers some other questions I have about some other drivers, but I'm gonna leave that alone. That answers 2 questions about 2 other drivers that have the same sponsor, actually, that are both Aspire, but I'm gonna leave that alone. But yeah, because as we'll see in the race the very next day, when you have a guy that goes down there and they're in, just the best car in the field, it just doesn't make for a good time. But when they're not, and you have a guy in that series that can win and run better than them, then it makes it all worthwhile to say, like, Corey Heim beat Kyle Busch and Ross Chastain. So.
Yeah, I feel like it's his time's coming. We'll get there later, but Corey about to get the call. Moving on to the foreshadowing of the Xfinity weekend. Xfinity took 3 weeks off, and yet again another Hendrick Motorsports driver wins down there with them. William Byron takes his talent to the 17 and dog walks the Xfinity field, winning Saturday. Thoughts, feelings, opinions on the Xfinity race? Hayden.
So, my analysis of the race is the fact, and truthfully, I was only able to watch the highlights. You know why, Jarrett? Why I was only able to watch the highlights? Jarrett?
Is it because you were resting your ankles?
No. It's because I happen to be not near a TV. And you know what you can't do in the year 2025? Watch the CW in any shape, form, or fashion on a mobile device.
That's
you
true.
Cannot watch it. I pay for a TV package through DirecTV. I cannot stream. I cannot view the replay of the race that is stored on my DVR. I can only watch this product until I get back in front of a terrestrial TV. You know what I'm not going to do after a 5-hour drive on Monday is sit back in front of TV and watch William Byron run through the field and make these, once again, this field full of people who I don't know outside of Connor Zilic, who's actually going to be Cup ready. Like, there's not a person in that field who's anywhere near Cup ready, and Connor Zilic isn't anywhere near Cup ready. Austin Hill's getting the run around by RCR. What are we doing here? So that's my frustration with the whole Xfinity series right now. It was actually a good ending of the race. I thought the final stage was quite interesting watching William Byron come through. He did have a tire advantage, so he was able to put that pass on Allgaier, but still made for an interesting show watching him work his way back after that penalty to start stage 3. This was a weird weekend. It reminds me of like an Atlanta weekend where this is the very rare circumstance where the Cup Series puts on a wildly better show than the lower series did. And I typically find that to be the case at the Atlanta weekend to start the year, where the 2 lower series, they just don't really seem to put it all together. And then the Cup Series knocks it out of the park. I got the same feeling from this weekend as well. I don't know if I was the only one who had that same feeling, but yeah.
Carl?
Yeah, man. I mean, I watched Xfinity race and I caught as much as I could. I don't remember where I was Saturday or what I was doing. Oh, yeah, Saturday I got
up.
No. Saturday I got hoodwinked. We did the birthday thing like 2 days early, and we went to Cracker Barrel, and then I had to go to driving out to pick up my work. Anyway, it doesn't matter. But I watched a little bit of it, and I was like, "This is great, exciting." And then I thought Connor was going to win on this first oval. and then he didn't because William Byron won, and that was my first complaint is it is lackluster when that 17 shows up, and I can only hope that that other HendrickCar.com sponsored drivers get a shot in it because that car is just unreal how good it is. I mean, and William Byron is no slouch either. And we'll talk about him some more when we talk about Sunday. But here's the other thing about the Xfinity race that I wanted to make a point about. And also, Peyton, your rant about DirecTV is amazing. I need to come back to that when we get a chance to talk about Prime. What the fuck does Jeff Burton even do?
If
look,
I speak,
man,
I will be in big trouble.
Look, man, I'm over it, bro. I'm done with it, man. Yeah, he's won Talladega like a couple times. Once was on merit. I don't know, dude, but it's just like every single like time I tune into Xfinity race, he's like either getting mad at a guy, racing him hard for 27th, or he's wrecking somebody when he was within like the top 10 just because he felt like he should get one more spot. I don't know, dude. That it's silly. Also, shout out Brad Perez. I think it's his first oval in the Xfinity Series race that he ran, right? No, but it's his first oval with Alpha Prime, maybe. I feel like he ran with either one of the Gays cars, something like that. Anyway, we have to go back and look, and it's a shame that I don't know that stat. But shout out for him. Ran a good race most part. And also shout out to I look like a fool now because I can't think of his name. I just blanked. You guys don't talk about the other Alpha Prime driver.
Ryan Ellis.
Yeah. Shout out to Ryan Ellis for his first career top 10. I knew who I was talking about for anybody listening. All right, I wasn't just like pulling off the dome. I just
don't let the minute of stumbling fool you.
I kept wanting to say Ryan Sieg, and I'm like, it's not Ryan Sieg. But shout out to Ryan Ellis, man. He's been around for a while. I know they've been working really hard at that. That whole program at APR has been working really hard, and to try to get to where they're at. Roger's over there for a while, and just it makes you feel good when you've got a group of guys that they don't come from daddy's money, right? Obviously, that's why they're at Alpha Prime, and they're doing everything they can to run well. And you got a guy that's worked at it for a long time, and and to get that first top 10 to be that emotional, especially at a home race for the team, is really cool to see. And I kind of wish the broadcast would have dove deeper into that a little bit. I know that that's not really their job, but it was just cool to see that. So that was nice. So that's my whole thought about it. So.
All right.
I just want to start by saying this is what happens when you're gone for like 6 months at a time. You're a little rusty, come back and try to... And Carl just a little rusty with the...
And he's telling me.
Analysis. So I was very fortunate to get to see this race in person. Shout out Joe and David. Amazing guys. Appreciate y'all helping me out. This is the first Xfinity race I'd seen in person in a long time. And it is so fucking good, man. I just love this car so much. I was sitting here listening to Peyton and Carl's takes, and I was thinking about this. Is there a direct inverse relationship between the quality of field and the quality of car in NASCAR? Because it feels like the Cup Series has more good personalities in it and more drivers I would want to watch than the Xfinity, but the car is dog food. And I feel like Xfinity, I don't want to say it's dog food, but they're very bland field for the most part.
Yes, absolutely, yeah.
Is that fair to say?
100%. I mean, Peyton hit on it, and we've said it. I mean, there is no personality in the Xfinity Series that like people like are like, I can't wait for this guy to get to the next level. Besides, for me personally, it's Connor Zillage, right?
Right.
And he looks rough around the edges.
I think a lot of that has to do with Trackhouse also, though. He's also super young. Trackhouse is like pulling out stuff from like 2019 and just putting a next gen body on it. I don't know, but
I don't think you can do that. But go on ahead.
They're doing it. I don't think so either. But
I like how he said, "I don't know, but they're doing."
You've been looking at our president too much. You can't just roll with that.
No, what happened?
Many people are saying.
People are saying all the time. I've seen it. They're doing it. They're coming over. They're 21 million parts they're using from the 2019
They're eating the dogs. They're using the 2019 cars. They're using the 550 cars. No, but look, whatever happens between the engineers, whatever happens within the walls of 8500 Westmoreland Drive in Concord, North Carolina, and whatever they're doing is between them and God. And I just hope that it eventually pays off because, boy, that is rough to watch. Anyway, but yeah, we've talked a few times that there's no, even the truck series besides Corey Haim, like there's nobody in those two series that you're just like, okay, yeah, like they're up. Like I'm looking at the top 10 for the Xfinity race, and I mean, let's go down this list. William Byron, Cup driver, Connor Zillage, okay. Nick Sanchez, no clear path, no idea what he's going to do. Shout out to him though, apparently finishing third. I guess I just did not realize that. That's really cool. Justin Allgaier, he's a lifer. Dean Thompson, that's a surprise. Josh Williams, that's a great finish for him. You know, Austin Hill, Ryan Ellis. Like Austin Hill for sure is going to go to Cup. I mean, at some point in time, I don't know how or why, but he's going to go to Cup. I don't think Sam Mayer's going to Cup. Sheldon Creed's probably not going to Cup. I mean, it is William Sawalich. I'm looking at all these names, and I'm like, none of these people are ever going to get back into a Cup car if they've already been in one. So, yeah, I mean, no, you're absolutely right. Like, I wish every day that we could just go back to what 2007 was, where, like, the cars that raced on Sunday were the same cars they raced on Saturday. I know we had the COT, that's what I'm saying. And, you know, with the horsepower difference, and that was it. Because, like, the Cup talent we have now in that car would be fantastic watching every weekend. You know, I mean, and then, you know, the other thing is, and I'll stop, the other thing is like, they talk about the next gen as like a money saver, but it's like, brother, like, these Xfinity teams are surviving on bologna and, like, mustard sandwiches as far as the money goes, right? So if they're surviving on like that little bit of money, I mean, that much less money in the Cup Series, putting on good car, putting together good cars, showing them having good racing, then why can't the Cup Series do it and be just as successful and profitable? I don't know. You know what I mean? It doesn't make sense to me.
Imagine what they could do if you could watch it on your freaking phone.
Yeah, can we please, like, post Cup race talk about Prime, because that I know where he's going with that rant, and that is the same rant that I have why I love Prime so much. But anyway,
you know, you all just led me into the next segment. Because for the first time this year,
me, I guess.
Oh, that's right. Carl cut you off.
Carl hijacked it and then passed the ball.
Stands.
Nothing to do with me, man.
You wanted to finish your in-race reporting. All right.
Accountability has chased you, but you are faster, Carl. No, I was just gonna say, I really appreciate watching drivers in this year of our Lord 2025 be able to get up under someone and get them loose and drive under them. And it was, you know, I don't know how it came across on TV for those of us who could watch it on TV. Sorry, Peyton, but I really enjoyed it. I mean, obviously it's in person, so like you can't really compare it. It's apples to oranges. But the only part that I didn't enjoy really was just the last, 20 laps or so, 30 laps, just a ton of wrecks again, right? That seems to be a reoccurring theme. Like every weekend, there's at least one race where there's a crap ton of wrecks. And they just kept giving Byron just enough time to keep inching his way up. I really thought Allgaier had it. And there's one last restart where it was Allgaier and Creed were the front row. And I was like, am I really going to watch Sheldon Creed win in person? Like, I will never hear the end of this. But yeah, I just really enjoy that car. And I enjoyed a lot of the race. Shout out Catherine Legg. I got to see her race in person, which was cool. And Brad as well. That was really cool to see both of them. But Yeah, I enjoyed it. I left that race and I was very sports entertained. I feel like I got my money's worth out of it for sure. All right, Carl, now you can go.
I don't have anything left to say. I thought we were talking
Uh-huh.
about the next segment. That was
Yeah,
Jared's
we're
turn.
the next.
I'm not driving the ship.
Uh,
Are you?
No.
this is the first weekend where we had to tune in for Prime for all of the Cup race coverage. Um, this is we can just meld this into the race because wow. But I just want to thank Prime, thank Amazon. I'm not going to thank you, Jeff Bezos, because I'm like you, but your company did an amazing job. The booth was phenomenal. The on race, the pit race reporting was phenomenal. The was the secondary booth like um, even I don't know if I want to give Corey LaJoy his props, but Corey LaJoy and then Daniel Trotta there with Carla were just to give the B side commentary. It was a fantastic product. We've literally waited all year for this, at least I have, and make NASCAR races accessible again. To throw a lob to Peyton. All you need is the internet. Like we told you last week, you had a 30-day free trial, and all you had to do was sign up, and you get to watch this whole 5 week segment of the greatest motorsports coverage that NASCAR is going to have all year. These 5 weeks, I was amazed. I was enthralled. There was no lag. Um, you could if you were late tuning in, you could catch up, even though a lot of that didn't happen. I feel like until the fourth stage, it was pretty much business as usual for the first half of the race. But wow, just wow,
Yeah.
wow. Carl Payton, one of y'all that have beef with the CW.
Yeah. I mean, I'll go straight up. So, first of all, thank you for highlighting on something, and I tweeted about it from the pod account. Um, it was not hard to get set up with Prime Video, or I mean with Amazon Video or whatever it is. And let me say this, just for context, right? I have like 6 different Amazon accounts. Okay, because I can't remember which one I originally set up. Then I make another one. Then I get somehow logged into the OG one. Anyway, it doesn't matter. I got signed up. It took me 10 minutes. All right, and then it was like $9 a month, and you get 30 days for free. Okay, what anybody that has any sort of qualm or quarrel about the Prime deal, what is your cable bill right now? I guarantee you it's not $10. When I cared, let me not say when I cared enough about NASCAR to pay to watch it. When I cared enough about TV to try to have a package, albeit DirecTV, Xfinity, Hulu Live, it was easily a $700 to $100 a month expense. Cable is expensive, folks. The way you watch racing before is expensive. And I think for the value we got from Prime, the broadcast quality, start to finish, it felt authentic. It felt real. There were no gimmicks. There was no Boyer, thank God. Start, 100% think this is the way to go. And I've said for years, right, that like I think that we could all get on board with like paying for a streaming service to do this live. It'd be substantially cheaper and easier. And people are like, well, my mom, my papa, they watch it and they don't have Prime. They can't get on the internet. My solution to you is this: the same way with how my dad watches the NBA. They sell devices that plug into your TV, a streaming device. You log into an account for them. It's set up. It's good to go. You don't have to do anything else. It's not that hard. You're complaining about it because you want things to go back to the way that they were. Newsflash: they're not going back to the way they used to be ever. So it's not going to be. I mean, so it's just like get on. I hate to say this, just get on board. I mean, this is the way forward. And this is the happiest I've been with the sport. And any decision they've made in the Cup Series since Talladega, the second Talladega race in 2021. That's about it. You know what I mean? Like this was a move in the right direction. I was very happy with it. So that's what I have to say about the Prime deal.
Peyton.
So the biggest thing for me with the Amazon Prime presentation. One, it was easy to watch. They know how to do streaming right.
Yes.
But what did it for me was after watching some of the highlights from the Indy 500, and they always make a big deal. They always have like all their A people out helping broadcast the Indy 500 to build up that this is a special event. Of course, I was at the 500, so I didn't get a chance to watch broadcast, but I watched highlights. And then I get a chance to sit down and I'm watching the Cup race. And generally, I believed or thought that this was in the same level that, oh, wow, they've brought all their big guns because it's the 600. Like, they treated this with a level of care and attention and seriousness that let me think, like, wow, this is a crown jewel. Like, they've got Jeff Gordon in the booth, like, giving his thoughts and opinions. Like, wow, they wouldn't usually do that. So that's something that I really appreciate, is taking this sport seriously. Art really hammered it in the last show, was we want this sport to be taken seriously. Yes, it can be fun, but it doesn't need to be goofy, cartoon gophers and stuff like that you get from Fox. This is supposed to be a serious sport, and they did it extremely well. They had a ton of talented people there. I thought Trevor Bain did a really good job. The broadcast was good. I didn't get a chance to really take in how the sound was, so I'm looking forward to not this upcoming week, but the week after, see how the sound is. A lot of people said the car sounded even better than usual. So kudos to them for putting in this level of effort. One thing I'm concerned about is TNT, because they're right after this. I haven't heard a damn word from them. And like the folks at Amazon, they've been hyping their part of the schedule for the past 3 to 4 weeks now. And TNT, if I remember correctly, they get the summer little mini championship battle. And yeah, maybe they're just getting so focused with the NBA Eastern Conference Finals, but yeah, not a whole lot of. Has anyone heard anything from TNT? Are they still doing this? Do we need to remind them, hey, you've got an assignment that's due? Like, I'm just nervous.
There was advertisement during the race.
Okay.
That hyped up the TNT portion of the schedule and the end race tournament.
Okay, good. I just didn't want to have any like college flashbacks where it's like, oh wait, that probably is due next week. Oh God. So I just want to make sure they're ready.
And the cars sounded so well because they were recorded in Dolby Atmos.
Yeah.
Amazon pulled out they spared no expense for the quality that you got at home.
No, that's every so often I watch old clips on YouTube. Of course, we all do. That's like one thing I always loved about ESPN, was that their sound production was like next to none, and you heard the cars so well. And yeah, there was shades of that Sunday night. There was even something I hadn't heard in a long time, which is where you hear the dissipation of the sound coming off of the booth walls, which is just how good the audio production is, that whispering sound you hear. So I was like, yeah, it's very good.
Arthur?
Yeah, I mean, they covered a lot of what I was gonna say. I just feel like I said last week, I just want it to be taken seriously. It can be fun, it can be informative, but I don't want it to be a joke, or I don't want the sport to be played for laughs. And I feel like Fox just does that way too much. They treat it like it's. And if you want to make like a kids sidecar, broadcast or something online, like on YouTube or something, like do that. Like we seen the NFL do with like Nickelodeon, like the slime games or whatever. But yeah, I mean, I just think they absolutely nailed it. I mean, this is exactly what you would want from a broadcast booth. Like, this is exactly what I want to see and I want to hear. I think the visuals, the audio was great, and everyone played their role really well. Like it's clear that a lot of prep work was done with this team. I'm sure there's a lot of rehearsing. I can't remember who it was said it, but like even Corey LaJoie's role, and he had like the goofy burnout ranking or whatever. Like that's still like that's fun, and like I'm okay with him doing that. Like it doesn't ruin the experience for me. Like I think that's a good type of role he can be in, and Carl Edwards as well. Like great to see him back in NASCAR. And I thought they all had really good insights. And of course, the booth was just stellar. I mean, they get excited when they need to. They're informative. They talked about the car and like adjustments you can make in it, the strategy. I mean, honestly, if we want to be real, the production carried a race that wasn't an A+ race and probably brought it up to an A+. Like that's how strong it was, and that's how starved I feel like we've been as a fan base to have just a decent presentation of a race on TV. I guess we'll talk more about the race itself in a minute. But yeah, I just think it's A++. I said it before we even got there. I called my shot and I said give him 36 races, and I stand 100% on it. They did not show me one single thing that would concern me about them having the full schedule. And, you know, I get the concerns about people that don't have Wi-Fi or don't have high-speed internet, and I think those are valid concerns. I don't know how you get around them. I'm not going to pretend to have the answers to those, but all in all, I mean, they absolutely nailed it. And then none of us talked about the post race, right? Like they gave us like 35, 45 minutes of post race. Like that's so nice. Like you go through a long race and you can just sit there in like your comfort zone and just watch a couple of interviews, get some highlights, get some analysis. Like it's so simple, but they just did it really, really well. And so my hat's just off to everyone in the crew, because I know that could not have been easy being, you know, a brand new provider, all the potential technical issues that could come up, and there weren't any hiccups, and they just nailed it. You know, they absolutely nailed it.
Can I just say this? I'd like to swap out Adam Alexander for Rick Allen. I know I essentially I'm just asking, hey, just give us back the NBC booth. I just really like Rick Allen as the chief play-by-play. Also, something that I thought that was interesting, they really did allow Dale Jr. to run the play-by-play. They kept it very fluid. I noticed there are large parts of the broadcast where they really gave Dale Jr. a lot of sort of freedom to sort of work on that aspect. So I thought that was interesting. But yeah, I prefer Rick Allen just a little bit more than Adam Alexander. And Adam Alexander is very, very good at what he does. But Rick Allen, I don't know. It's just something about hearing Dale Jr. and his old crew chief, Steve Letarte. I need Rick Allen there as well.
Yeah, it wasn't. I mean, I feel like Adam did better Sunday than he normally does on Friday nights.
Yeah.
He seemed like he sort of stepped up to the plate with, you know, his role in the game as well. You know, maybe that's how Junior got out the house. Maybe Amazon was like, hey, I'm gonna give you the microphone and I'm gonna let you leave it on the whole time.
And it might just be the fact that I'm just not used to hearing a Fox announcer with the NBC announcers. So maybe that might be some of the aspect. I don't know.
The paychecks be paychecking. That's all.
I feel like that just the direction was just much different, and maybe that, and you know, I said years and years ago when Darrell Waltrip was still in the booth, I said I don't. People were mad about him or being silly or whatever. And I said, well, I don't think that's all DW. I think that's Fox trying to cultivate something that just simply doesn't exist. It's not there. It's never going to be there. You know, I feel like the direction was there because, yeah, I typically am not a fan of Adam Alexander. You know, and I mean, even he showed up really well. I mean, like to Jared's credit, like Corey LaJoie. So definitely everybody had the thinking caps on, the ball game on. I'm excited to see what this week in Nashville does. Like I said, the only part that I have dreaded about the prom coverage has been that cringy ass commercial, but I'll leave that alone. So,
well, considering the Indy 500 had that Michael Strahan AI,
my God, that was so bad.
Like I think I'll take that commercial by comparison.
Oh my God, that was awful. I didn't see it. We were talking about it. Yeah, that was multiple people looked at that and said, "Yeah, this is great. This cooks." I'm like, this is like something like one of my coworkers above the age of like 52 like will sit and watch on Facebook on a loop for 10 minutes. Like this is maybe that's why I did it. I don't know, but that was terrible. And can I just say this real quick while we're talking about like production changes? it's no secret that I don't keep up with IndyCar, right? I've talked about it before. And it's not because IndyCar, I think IndyCar is bad or anything like that. I don't have the capacity for it. And, but I watch Indy 500 every year. You know, I try to watch qualifying and I make sure I watch 500. And I will say the production quality this year felt significantly like more of a letdown. I mean, it just was not where it normally is at. The energy wasn't there. I don't know. It just, the camera work was weird. The mixing was weird. I mean, it just, and you know, I don't know, man. Like I said, I think Fox has not learned a damn thing with how much they're hated in NASCAR, and they're just doing the same stuff. So I don't know, DK. But anyway,
No, that's fair. I agree with that sentiment. It was definitely lackluster.
yeah.
Didn't feel special. Um, I guess we'll talk about the race. There were like 4 or 5 good cars, and every factors. Was how my viewpoint was of the Coca-Cola 600. I was saved from a William Byron browbeating to a watermelon smashing Ross Chastain. Ross Chastain wins the World 600, um, saving me from breaking my TV. What y'all think about the Cup race?
Yeah, I think I feel like we've reached a bit of a point of diminishing returns when it comes to the next gen at Charlotte. And the reason I say that is I know I always talk about expectations on here, but I was thinking back and watching some clips in the week leading up to the race. Remember that first next gen at Charlotte, like the first two next gens at Charlotte.
Phenomenal.
God, like I think the first I can't remember whichever was the one. I think that Denny won and like Bubba finished fourth, I think, or third. He beat Tyler by one spot. I don't know. Someone knows which one
That
it
was
was,
that was
but
2023.
That was
okay.
23. Yeah.
Rain
But
delayed
there
on
was
Monday.
Yeah.
that race was probably one of the best races I've ever seen in my life. Like, and I don't know what it is about. I mean, obviously, we know this car is great at mile and a half, but there's something about it being at Charlotte at that time and those first couple years that it just was phenomenal. I mean, I remember driving home from my girlfriend's house back then, and I was just like exhausted because I was so like the adrenaline drain from watching that race. Like I was just exhausted. And it feels like we've kind of lost a bit of that magic there. They said it's probably 4 or 5 decent cars. I mean, there was a little bit of strategy, like a touch of strategy, but when the stages are all the same length, it kind of negates any real chance of anything. It's just okay. I'll come pit at this number, gas it up and go. But I have to admit, this race did have a lot of positives out of it, right? We had mechanical failures, we had wrecks, we had tire incidents, we had fueling incidents. Like there's a lot of old school problems that you don't expect in the hyper engineered, super sciencey modern day NASCAR. That you just don't expect to see. I don't expect you to blow up on the front row or the second row on a restart, or I don't expect you to not get any gas in the car out of a whole second can. So that like provided some great insights, but the negative voice in the back of my head still thinks that it's still way too hard to pass here. And realistically, the only reason Ross was able to make a run of it was because of the dirty air from a lapper ahead of Byron, right? I think it was the 22 who just like was fighting for his life, as he should, right? That's his job to try to stay on the lead lap, but he's fighting for his life. And that dirty air just holds you up, that even if you're the leader and you've had the best car all night, one car gets in front of you and you're so slow you can't do anything. And then Ross is gonna do Ross things and make a ballsy, 3-wide move to get to the lead. And yes, it was great to watch, but again, kind of like North Wilkesboro, it feels like a little bit, and I hate being negative because I really did enjoy this race overall, but I feel like there's a little bit of fool's gold there where you really had to have the stars aligned to have a good outcome, right? Like in order to get this kind of result, given how the race was going. Because on paper, it should have been Byron just going away. And it pretty much was once Denny was out of it. Like Ross was catching him, but he wasn't going to catch him. But just like North Wilkesboro, like you had like the perfect storm to give you a great finish. And I want to enjoy that. I want to celebrate that, but I also don't want to be blind to the fact that those warts are still there. And they're still going to be there until something changes this off season. So, um, I like the race, and again, it's hard because like I'm not trying to be a downer. Like I really did enjoy a lot of the race, but like I said, there's still the ugly flaws of this car are still in there, and I think we got away with one the last 2 weeks, but I'm afraid we might not be so lucky at certain points the rest of the season.
Attrition.
Mm-hmm.
Peyton.
I'm so glad that Art found the cloud in the sky full of silver linings.
Yeah.
Like, buddy, that race was phenomenal. Like, it was.
I just said I liked it. Now
No,
don't act
no,
like I
you-
poo-poo.
no. Yes, you
the
did. You
last
said-
words I said was that I liked it, but it was the perfect storm. That's all I said.
You also
That's
spent a lot. You spent a lot of time hand wringing, explaining like, I hate to be this negative, but I'm going to be this negative. It was really, really good. It gave us everything that we were looking for out of the old days, where yes, you'd have someone dominate, you'd have people lead or make runs, fall out. You had mechanical DNFs. It was just great. And the weird thing is that that's a top running track now. Like you don't really run low as often as you used to see. And yes, Art, you are 100% correct in terms of yes, that race finish was greatly aided by the dirty air of a Denny Hamlin getting his lap back, as well as the 22 in front. That did help seal it for Ross making that move. But at the end of the day, you've just got to sit back and just enjoy what was a lot of storylines, just comers and goers. I mean, well, you had, like I said, you had 4 good cars. You had, guys who could have had the race of life. I mean, for me, the whole heartbreak of it is Hocevar. He legitimately had his Jeff Gordon. You should appreciate this. You are a Jeff Gordon super fan. Hocevar almost had his Jeff Gordon 1994 Coca-Cola 600 moment, coming off of his going into his second full season, getting that career win in a very strong fashion. We almost had that, and unfortunately, just blew up. And God, that hurt. And he's gonna, man. You put Carson Hocevar in anything higher up in that Spire car. I mean, you put him in an RCR car. You put him in Hendrick. I mean, you put him in a Hendrick, and it's lights out. So, just really enjoyed that race overall. Like I said, considering the factors that went into why it was good, we can analyze it. But at the end of the day, I'm just gonna say, hey, that was the perfect mix of modern racing as well as the traditional aspects that we sit here and romanticize.
Carl.
Yeah, I had the 600 for me is always going to be somewhat tainted with stages. I mean, like the whole point of the 600, which has always been one of my favorite races, is it's a 600. It's 600 miles, right? And it kind of falls out of the window of like normal race preparation. In the golden era and the days that let me preface this by saying this, right? As much as I piss and moan about everything, is I still enjoy stock car racing as a sport. Do I enjoy it as much currently? No, it's a little hard to get enthused about it, right? But anyway, in the golden age, I mean, we had 400-mile races all the time. It was pretty much the average, like 400, 425, somewhere in there. You had some 500s, but you had a lot of 400s, and you had this one 600. And because it was so long, you just had the extra element of of pitch strategy, of equipment, of guys falling off and all that kind of stuff. And I feel like now, when you've got 4 guaranteed cautions, it just really just takes what makes a 600 out of the 600. And I understand it's still coming in the fuel mileage and all that kind of good stuff and whatever, but I don't know, man. Anyway, to move on from that, I thought the on-track product was pretty good. I do agree with Art that, we kind of reached the point of, okay, we've seen the best this car has to offer, and sometimes it's not great. And Hendrick every year has just gotten these cars more and more dialed into where now it's just like, okay, we really can't do any better than this. Man, I mean, as far as the race for me went, it was a pretty good race. I thought the ending was exciting. I'm not the biggest Ross Chastain fan, but I have to give him credit where credit is due, right? He is the guy that is willing. We saw it at Texas a handful of weeks ago. He is the guy that is willing to figure out what he needs to do and to do it. And I'll say this too, right? I joked about, Trackhouse, running the 2019 cars, as next gens, but I mean, he really is putting that organization back right now and running really well, because from a numbers perspective, from a timesheet perspective, those cars are not where they need to be. And they're not where they were in 2022 and in 2023. And certainly, even last year, it's like a switch has been flipped almost. So I will say it was a cool deal with the winner. Kind of stinks a little bit that it took Joey Logano stinking up the show to kind of do that. And it wasn't, and Ross just couldn't run it down. But like I said, Ross is the kind of guy, look, if he's got to make it, and he has to jeopardize, you reckon, and that's just what it's going to be, So that was a cool deal to see. I don't know what else there is to say about that race, really, that makes it seem like a hater. I think the halfway stop and remembrance thing is kind of worn out its welcome a little bit. I get Memorial Day and I understand how important that day is and all that kind of stuff, but I don't that deal to me is just kind of I don't know. But anyway, besides that, yeah, if I had to give it on a grading scale, I'd say that was an A- race. I think all the intermediate races with this car are good. They're not fantastic. And to comment what somebody else said, yeah, everybody runs to the top now. Used to be that was such a rarity, but I guess with this car, I'm assuming it binds up so much, and not to be a Monday morning quarterback, but from what Peyton and I have experienced in the sim, which is very little compared to the real thing. The car does not enjoy the bottom at all. Like I said, so. But that you've kind of narrowed it down to one lane of racing, so it kind of sucks there. But yeah, I enjoyed it. I was glad I watched it. I didn't walk away feeling particularly negative about it. There were some things going on in the background I felt negative about, that took place, but we'll talk about that later with the double and all that stuff. And so yeah.
You mean
Go ahead, Peyton, get on him. Go ahead.
You mean
get
the
that same energy.
595?
Oh, it was Peyton. It was. Look, I have no problem with the double. We can talk about it whenever. I have no problem with the double. I just have comments about. Yeah, go ahead.
No, I was giving Peyton grief because he want to get on me, say I'm a Debbie Downer, and then here you come, and then all of a sudden he's mute.
Well, it's just because it's just only hear it from Carl once every fiscal quarter. I hear it from you every Monday and Tuesday. It's the frequency of it that does it. Certain you'd understand that, Arthur.
Wait, Peyton, is it Tuesday because you go back and you listen to Monday's recording?
No.
Oh, okay.
It has to be on a Tuesday this week.
Oh, okay, I got you. I didn't. We said it was Monday and Tuesday, and I thought, was he saying like I have to deal with this not just Monday, but then I go back and listen to it the next day. So
I did go back and listen to last week's show because Jared was like, "Man, last week's show was really good." I was like, "You know what? Let me listen." And tell you what, there's nothing more vain than just sitting there just listening to a show with yourself. I'm like, man, Yeah, we were cooking.
That's what I have tried to explain to Arthur, and he is
What are you
just like,
talking about?
he was like, oh, okay, Mister, I don't listen to my own. I'm like, dude,
You don't do
anyway.
enough shows to get to have that take.
That's not my fault.
It is.
I have
Do you not
done.
control
Look,
your body? Do you
I
not control
have
your
I have done.
appendages? You
I
can't
did
see.
enough on the front end to make up for this. Okay, so
You better
I
get
don't want
tagged
to. I
back
don't.
in, brother. You better get ready. You coming off the bench,
Ge-
out the bullpen.
hopefully August before the time we get to the playoffs, that'll be correct. So I'll give you that much. So,
Hope implies there's a chance of failure. No, make it happen.
we'll see. Anyway,
I'm ready to talk about the double if we want to go ahead and get
I would love to talk about
let's
it.
talk about the 595 experience. I will start off by saying I had a great enjoyment watching the Fox booth sweat, watching their panel sweat, watching Twitter sweat, and freak out, thinking that this man wasn't going to have a chance to run the double. It brought my heart great, great, great joy. And then we did all of it, all of the waiting, all of the slobbering, for him to wreck himself. Sorry, it's funny to me. So he made it on time to Charlotte. I put that tweet on the pod account. Everybody thought that was funny. And then Larson shows up in Charlotte and does the exact same thing. Gets in the wall, cargo boom, and there's the end of his night. Um, is it time to stop putting such a spotlight on the double, or is the double still worthy of the spotlight, just not the current driver who chooses to participate?
Yes and yes. Okay. Um, let me say this, right? So I'm gonna say this with as little bias for the driver as possible, which is really hard to do. The double is impressive. It's been done by a very short list of individuals, all incredibly talented. You've got Andretti in there, you've got Kurt Busch, you've got Tony Stewart, you've got Robbie Gordon, you've got Kyle Larson. All incredibly talented drivers, right? Sean Andretti. And and I got to be, I talked about this in our group chat. I was at the 2014 600, right, when Kurt ran the double, and there was just such an air. Kurt Busch at that point in time in his career was still pretty much a villain to a lot of fans. He still got a lot of boos, and like people cheered when his helicopter landed, right? So like it was a big deal. The double's a big deal. Here's the problem that I have with it though, right? Is that the production of the 500 was like it was straight up just Fox just sweating about Larson not being able to make it, right? And I felt like there are so many other stories going into this race, right? There's the Penske thing, there's Palou not winning on an oval, there's like I said, all these different stories going into this deal, right? And even I, as an IndyCar observer, like knew this, and they spin it all on this, and then there was kind of like this really weird sort of like connotation or like suggestion that like how dare this race be held up and cost Kyle Larson a possible chance at running the double. First of all, man, it's not about him. I think it really bastardized a good like the first quarter of the production. It really like played down on like the significance of the 500 because they wanted to like have this story about Kyle Larson. I'm like, he's not the only one there, and if we're being honest, he has not had a good. I don't know what they call it, the Indy's version of Speed Weeks up to this point. He already wrecked the car once, that maybe twice. That car is put together with parts from Harbor Freight Tools, man. It ain't gonna run good no way. And so it really just chapped my ass about that, and then the other thing is too, man, Hendrick is a multi-$100 million organization. You cannot tell me, okay. Oh, and then talk about delegitimizing stuff, right? And then on IndyCar's end, the whole first part of the production was like, oh my God, Kyle Larson might not make the blah, blah, blah. And then for NASCAR to also bend their own rules after they were such little piss babies about it last year, and say, well, he doesn't have to go to the driver's meeting. Are you fucking kidding me? You know, and so they delegitimized his entry into the 600 because if he would have gotten to Charlotte and ran all night and won, I'd have been like, well, it's a half. Then that doesn't count as a win because whatever, and because he didn't start the back like he should have. But the thing is, Hendrick is a very advanced organization. You're telling me nobody there was smart enough to think like, hey, the weather in Memorial Day weekend, especially in the Midwest, tends to be sporadically stormy. Even in the Southeast, even in the South. Like that is a good chunk of the eastern half of this country experiences that weather on Memorial Day weekend. It happens. I don't know the science behind it, but it's the way it is. You mean to tell me nobody could think like, hey, we may need to entertain the possibility that we need to commit to just running the 500 or something. And you also, I mean, because NASCAR was obviously willing to bend on this. I don't know, man. I don't know. It just, to me, I hate it because I think this race probably killed any chance of anybody else doing the double. Because I will say this, I do think it's unfair that if Larson didn't start the race, he would have lost on those playoff points. I don't know, man. The whole thing is just kind of off to me. But I'm glad it's over with. I'm glad I don't have to hear about it anymore. And I hope maybe they work out a deal next year where he just gets to run the 500 and Raj Caruth runs a 5-car in the 600. That won't happen. Trust me, they'd put somebody else in the car. But yeah, I mean, I'm glad it's over with. That's the end. That's what I'll say at the end of it. So, and then there's other stuff that happened afterwards we can talk about. But as far as I guess people got pissed off because Scott McLaughlin made one little comment and a lot of people put their foot in their mouths and suggesting that they don't know who Scott McLaughlin is, when I think if you meet their criteria of like the reason they call Kyle Larson the greatest of all time is because he can, quote, hop in anything and win, close quote. Well, Scott McLaughlin meets that criteria a lot better than Kyle Larson does. So if we really want to have that conversation, he would be probably the best driver in the world right now, if that's how you base it. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. But yeah, so anyway, that was my take on that whole deal.
Peyton, since you were at the track, what was your thoughts and opinions after you heard of all this kerfuffle when you could catch back up?
So I haven't been last year. I've been to tons of the previous races. And yeah, didn't know that you, Carl, that you had got a chance to see the second half of Kurt Busch's attempt. I got a chance to be there at the Indianapolis 500 portion, so that's really cool, that continuity between you and I.
Yeah.
Carl mentioned it. Kyle Larson was terrible the whole month of May. He was just lousy. Rode off a car in the testing that they had in late April, rode a car off during the week prior. Didn't show a ton of speed on qualifying on Saturday. Did just enough to make the field. I know these cars. I know Aero McLaren. Well, in the hands of Pato O'Ward, the car was fast enough. Well, it didn't look great in his hands, in Kyle Larson's hands, but he was just unimpressive. And unlike last year, there were a ton of people with Kyle Larson double or Aero McLaren shirts, hats, and everything. There was a decent number with the 1100 hats, which those are now kind of funny given how few of the miles he actually covered. And yeah, and truthfully, after the race, I was over at a friend's house and we were watching highlights and we were watching the Coca-Cola 600, and they're all sort of laughing like, oh, he's wrecked again. And they were sort of laughing because they felt that he had a bit of cockiness and arrogance to him that I think it sort of annoyed some of the more casual Indianapolis natives, at least the ones I've sort of spoken with, where it's like, oh yeah, that guy's not done crashing. He crashed out here in Indianapolis, and now he's going to go out to Charlotte and crash there too. So I think it was a bigger story last year. I think there was more excitement around it last year. He was better last year. All he did this year was ride around in the back and then eventually crash the field. And then proceeded to attempt to do the same thing. Like I honestly joked with someone who was at the end of 500. I sent him text just saying, well, now he's crashed here. He's going to go crash in front of the field at Charlotte. And he legitimately did. Now, mind you, he had a bigger lead, so he didn't get a chance to wipe out as many cars. But in his defense, it is tough to do. That is a lot of miles. Think about a road trip. Like, I drove back from Indianapolis yesterday, and that's a 300 or 400 mile drive. And you're kind of wiped out after that. 5 or 6 hours driving, and these folks are doing 1,100 miles. And to expect them to be able to compete against the best in their respective sports is extremely tough. And it's remarkable that only one driver has completed all 1,100 miles. This is no joke, and it deserves coverage, especially when you get someone who, in theory, has the skill level, which Kyle Larson does, to be competitive in both. So it deserves the coverage. I just think this time around he just wasn't as good. These cars with the hybrid systems were tough to drive. We saw a lot of crashes leading up to the race. And yeah, so it happened. We saw the same thing with other drivers. I mean, shoot, Fernando Alonso's second attempt was super lackluster. I mean, he didn't even make the field for his second attempt. So, yeah, these things happen, and I'm not going to necessarily hold it against him, but it is nice to see his more mouthy fans have to deal with a little bit of humbling in terms of the limitations of what he's capable of. And, yeah, if he didn't crash out as well, that race ended right around 4:30. I think someone mentioned he needed 90 minutes, and that would have put him right on the cusp of getting in the car and probably having to start on pit road if they didn't push back the start. So, yeah, it would have been really interesting if he ran the race completely at Indianapolis.
I guess we'll never know. All right.
Yep.
Yeah, I keep hearing y'all talk about double this, double that. It was a triple because he wrecked 3 times. I don't know where y'all keep writing that one off. He wrecked 3 times.
I forgot how many times that he wrecked.
He did it once up north and twice down here. Like, no, he hit a hat trick on Sunday. I'll get the boring stuff out the way first. Yes, I do think the double is still a great achievement. I want to see it attempted more. I'd love to see some non-NASCAR drivers attempt it. I think that would be a fascinating twist. I'd love to see, a guy from both series, have 2 guys try to do it in the same year and they can helicopter over together. Like, I think that would just be, an extra storyline that would be really cool to see. Who has the better average finish across the 2 of them? Something like that. As for Mr. Kyle Larson, I mean, what more can you say, man? He really stepped on it this week, and I think one thing I've learned is that the racing gods are cruel, and they love to dole out karma. None of us have talked about the audio on his car at the start saying, somebody crashed again, fucking idiot, or something like that.
That's what I was alluding to, yeah.
I'll say it. I ain't scared about it. I ain't scared of these people.
I'm not either. I'm just saying, what. That's what I was saying when I was talking about, that there was just kind of this air of, like, everybody needed to be more responsible because this was Kyle Larson's race. Kyle Larson is a guest here. This isn't the house Kyle Larson built. It's not about him. This isn't his day. You know what I mean? Yeah, And I saw some people go so far as to say, well, NASCAR is a more important sport in America. Again, this is the one thing that in North America racing was that precedes any fucking thing else. This is a race that is 100 and I don't know, dude, 120 something years old, 100 and almost 20 years old. Like, shut up. They're like, please shut up. So anyway,
Yeah, no, I guess the racing gods are cruel and they don't like it, clearly. But yeah, I mean, even it was clear, like, when he, came out and in Charlotte, like, mentally he's not at his A+ game. I don't blame him. Like, he just drove a bunch, and I'm sure he was dehydrated and had to get a helicopter ride, and I'm sure more than anything it's probably just demoralized that he wrecked out for the second time. But that's the game, right? That's what you sign up for when you agree to do this. You want all the praise and you want all the merch sales, and and all of this, well, then you have to accept this potential outcome for it. So, and then you look at him with the Cup side, right? The performance was good for a while. He was super aggressive early on and spun out once. They got it fixed, came back, and then he cleaned it out and ended the day. So I don't knock anything about Larson for the attempt. I don't like the attitude of it though. That's been alluded to, and like we talked about on here and in the press. And then for you smooth brain motherfuckers who out there saying NASCAR should hold the race so that Kyle Larson can get there, just go to hell, man. Like, you guys are so. You want to talk about some Krispy Kreme Glazers, boy? I tell you what, like, that's ridiculous. I've never heard that the idea of that Amazon, all the thousands of Amazon people working on this, the other 39 other teams working on it. We should all wait and just hold up for an undetermined amount of time so Kyle Larson can get here. I mean, Dale Jr. would not have gotten that kind of treatment in his prime, and Lord knows he was way more popular than Kyle Larson on his best day. So I think, that isn't a majority of people, but I saw multiple figures, including some press figures, on Twitter saying, "Oh, they should consider holding the race by 45 minutes or an hour so he can get there if Indy runs long or something." Go to hell, man. I signed up for the NASCAR race. I did not sign up for the Kyle Larson Invitational. Like, nah. Well, I don't like that at all. So
Yeah.
Thankfully it didn't come to that. And judging by the way he was talking after wrecking out in Charlotte, I highly doubt this happens again with him. Which, on the one hand, I would like to see it done. Like, I'd like to see it accomplished. I think it's a cool thing to see once a generation, a guy go out there and do it. And clearly he ain't the one to get it done this time. So I'd love to see, like I said, someone else come in and try to do it. But he just sounded so demoralized and over it after Charlotte. So I'm glad we can put this story to bed now and we can move on and go back to hating Kyle Larson for the normal reasons we hate him, not just for Indy related reasons.
Well, there's one person that did complete the double. That was Christopher Bell's spotter. He spotted the 500 and the 600. So kudos to you, young man. You did it. You made us proud. Skipping ahead to 2311 corner. Tractors. Tyler finished 26th. Riley finished 28th. Bubba finished 35th. I'm going to go on record and say the haunted scheme is the Chumba Casino scheme. Please get that off of the vehicle, please. Just
don't say that.
Please. I can't do it. I can't take it. I can't. Please, no. Please, no. No.
What did I say when they revealed the scheme? I said, I sure hope it's fast because it ain't pretty.
Oh, and at the halfway mark, Riley's 34th in points. Bubba is now 12th in points after shenanigans on Sunday. Tyler Reddick is 5th in points. As a team, they've scored 864 team points, 8 top 10s, 5 top 5s, and have led 190 laps as the team moves to Nashville and throws Corey Heim back in the car. Thoughts from 2011's performance in Charlotte?
That's how that weekend was. They were loud. Okay, excuse me. The 45 was good. He got a speeding penalty that ruined his race. The 23 car, that was like every once in a while, it's nice to reminisce about some of the early days of Bubba Wallace, and we got that. We got an RPM level performance out of that 23 car. That was atrocious. Shout out to Riley. He had it. He did his thing. Beating 2 drivers in the standings, so that's awesome. But yeah, they need to. I don't know if that car was hurt, whether he was hurt or the setup was hurt.
Yes.
I was hurt.
Yes.
That was awful. God almighty. That's a track that he's run well on. And Art was at the near panic mode last week, saying, "Hey, we got to right the ship." I'm now on that same. I'm now in the same. I'm now in the same Honda Accord as him. This ship is the buffer room is gone. You have another lousy week with no points to speak of in any of the stages, and now you're in bubble conversation territory. The thing that's helped right now is, unlike previous years where at this point in the season he is on the outside trying to work his way in, he is on the inside working his way out. So they've got to right the ship. Nashville is not a great track for him. He had a good finish last year, but it's never been one that's been super kind to him. If you remember last year, that was the one with 6 billion restarts that pushed back my dinner reservation. So, yeah, that's how that 9th place happened. Yeah, it's just frustrating because you look at the season where he made the playoffs. That was the 2023 season. He had a red-hot month of May. He was phenomenal. I believe a 3rd or 4th place at Charlotte, ran second behind a dominant Kyle Larson at the All-Star race. May was when he was heating up. And this is the time of year where he needs to start turning it back up again. I don't know if it'll happen at Nashville, but you don't have to be great. Just get back on the platform of getting stage points. Just find whatever you found. But, yeah, that margin for error, that cut cushion they built, that's gone.
Bubba scored over 100 stage points this season. And they're heading down the slide.
When's the last time he scored any, though?
I don't know, man. It's been a
long you can't remember, though. That's the problem.
It's been a long race season. We tied.
Yeah, I was, like, we were talking since the race ended. I would love to believe, based off their response, like Bubba on Twitter. I mean, I guess it's Twitter, whatever. He's not going to go on there and be like, yeah, we're ass this week. But just like there seemed to be a level of confidence to say, hey, look, qualifying wasn't a true representation of what we brought. You know, the car will be better in the race. And, you know, it only got touched on once during the broadcast because it was so early. It was literally lap 1, but he got into the wall, right, trying to run the high line early on. I forget what set of corners it was, but that just, I choose to believe, and this could be blind fan goggles, right? Like it very well could, but I choose to believe that broke something so critical that just made it, you know, a tractor being pulled by an old donkey the rest of the race, because there was just a struggle. I mean, he was 5 seconds behind the pace after, you know, after like 5 laps after a restart. Like he was just bleeding time every time. And so I'd love to believe that they just weren't able to fix it well enough to be able to recover from it. And so I don't know. See, I say that, but then again, like it kind of has been a struggle bus the last month, right? Like it's not exactly been a great couple races. And so, yeah, like they have, all right, now I'd love a win right now. I would just love Nashville to be give me 7 stage points in a top 10. Like that's the bar for me for like success or not. If you give me that, like at least stop the bleeding. All right, let's even out with the cut line, and then we can start building. You know, Indy, Pocono have been good to him. Like those are 2 races I could see if the stars align for him. But yeah, man, it was so bizarre. Like it was just baffling how bad they were. That was the last. I mean, we were on here last week talking about a potential win. And I mean, we were anything but. You're closer to finishing last than you were to winning. But
what a bunch of idiots we were.
I mean, well, listen, now I never claimed to be an expert, but I'll never claim to be an idiot. But, you know, I mean, it is what it is. We did the best we could with the data that we had at the time. You know, that's what I tell myself. But yeah, and for Tyler, was running great. It sucks that they didn't really get the finish they deserved, right, with that late issue. But they seem to kind of just be kind of moseying under the radar. They seem to be in that like third to 10th place range. Not say third to like 14th place range. A lot of the race, and so for them right now, they're just probably. I would like to imagine they're just cooking for the playoffs at this point, right? They're not going to get bumped out or anything, so you might as well start testing and try to find speed and just work on setups at this. But that's the thing, right? When you don't have to run hard every week, you can take weeks off and play around with the setup. So yeah, man, that race was boo boo. That was cheeks. That was garbage. It's any phrase you want to throw at it. It was all of the above. So let's just throw this one away. I feel like I say that like once a month this season. It's like let's just throw this one away and move on. But yeah, that's what you got to do, I guess.
Yes, Carl, your thoughts on 2011's weekend performance?
Yeah, I mean, you're gonna have these weeks, unfortunately. I don't know. Look, if Bubba's not worried, I'm not worried, and it's hard to not be worried because I want to win. Everybody wants a win. A win fixes everything. And as I had laid out in the chat, in the group chat amongst us, Mexico aside, there are some good opportunities for him to win coming up. I mean, he actually has run considerably good at Nashville in the next gen. They just have had dog shit luck in those races. 22, they ran good, and they had a pit issue or whatever. That's when he had that meltdown, and he was like, "Don't talk to me" or whatever. 23. I don't remember really what happened in 23. I feel like 23, like he was going to qualify like on the pole. Maybe it was 24 actually. He was going to qualify on the pole and then spun out. But I think they can get around there pretty good. They'll run good. But yeah, I mean, it sucks. Just the car wasn't there. I don't know where they were in practice. I didn't get a chance to see that. Did they? I mean, were they halfway decent practice?
Had top 10 speed in practice.
Yeah. So okay, so they made a change, right? I mean, like I said, it wasn't for the best. I mean, the qualifying didn't go their way, and yeah, I really do think whatever they did, whatever he hit in the beginning of the race, really just screwed the car for the rest of the night. And so that was that. Tyler ran really well. Of course, it's what you expect. I hardly ever have any critiques or concerns about Tyler Reddick because I know that he can make up the difference pretty often. Hey, Riley Herbst, you showed up, kid. That's what's important. But as far as the Bubba thing goes, man, I'm trying to think about the last handful of races and what's happened and what's transpired. And anyway, they need to get hot. I feel like they can. Like I said, we've got races coming up that I feel like he can run really well at. Michigan, Nashville, Pocono, something else coming up. That like I said, that they can definitely run good at and get a lot of stage points and kind of continue this upward trend. I think this is the best 23 team that we've had. And since the team's gotten together, it was just a crummy day. And it's hard to not stress about it, especially when you have the trackers that he does and you see these comments and you're just like, that's not the whole story. And you know that, and you're being disingenuous, yeah, like I said, I just put it behind us, like I said, and just keep going from there. Yeah, I mean, that's it. I mean, there's nothing else that can be said about it.
No more tractors. Let's leave those at airspeed, please. That's all I ask. Reverting back to Lights Too Bright. Fox gets my Lights Too Bright. Just the handling of the Kyle Larson situation, to Carl's point earlier in the show, really took away of the specialness of that race. Like, he's a back marker in IndyCar. He doesn't deserve all the lights and the camera time and the stopwatch and the AirTag tracking about when he needs to leave to make it on time to Charlotte. Makes me feel bad for the rest of the regular competitors that participate in that series. So Fox, do better. Yet again, do better. All right, Peyton Carl.
I'll go. I'll go real quick. Cause I don't have a great one this week. I mean, Larson would be a layup, but I'm gonna go with Allgaier. Right? He had a great car, and I thought he was gonna easily bring it home. Like he kept crushing it on these restarts late, and instead I had to watch William Byron win again. And I heard several people in the race after that race say, I can't believe we sat here just to watch William Byron win. Like multiple people said that.
Thank God.
So I'm glad the public sentiment is out there. There's an agenda forming, and I'm at the heart of it, and I'm happy that it's working.
Team Petty. Carl, who's your latest two right?
Oh God, man, hell if I know. I guess the 11 pit crew. Yeah,
Woof.
I mean, yeah, I mean, like I feel like they had that. Denny Hamlin had that race all but sewn up. I feel like he could have made the run there at the end and gotten around William, and they didn't get it full, and he ran out. So, you know, I mean, like I said, you only have to mess up once. I mean, that was the thing, but. Yeah, I mean, besides that, I mean, what else can you say that hadn't already been said about the double and all that kind of stuff? You know what I mean? And otherwise, I would give it to that. But it's So anyway, but yeah, I would definitely be the Denny Hamlin's pit crew. So
I find small joy in knowing when the company steps on their dick. So does the owner. So everybody goes home looking like shit. So small golf clap for that. Peyton, who's your latest Super 8?
So mine goes, I'm going to keep it in the Indy 500 experience. And I feel bad even saying this because
Say it.
I was pulling for all these guys, but these feel-good one-offers who were their whole hopes and dreams
The
were
rookie?
tied to them. No, he wasn't part of my feel-good story. But you had three would have been fan favorites, heartwarming victories in the works, and they all, for one reason or the other, fell out. And so the lights were too bright. So God hurts me saying Takuma Sato, he is my favorite IndyCar driver. Followed him, from his F1 career to his IndyCar career. Got a chance to see him win at 2017 Indy 500. He had a car capable of winning. Misses his pit box by about a foot, has to back up. That's his race over. Just stuck in the mid-pack. Those cars you can't pass. All right, next man up. Connor Daly. Noblesville, Indiana's own. Dude had a chance. Won it. Could have had it won. Started to essentially have to back off due to running short on fuel in sort of the later stages of the race. So another gut punch. And then finally, you had Ryan Hunter-Reay, 2014 Indy 500 champion, doing a one-off appearance, looking great. He was there on pure pace. Even the people on the radio were confused. They thought he was just there on his pit cycle. Then they did the math and realized, no, he is there on pure pace. He goes in and pits, out of gas, engine stalls, not enough fuel in the lines to get refired. You had three heartwarming stories on deck, loaded to go. And racing's God said, no, we're going to crank these lights up so bright that everyone's just going to leave miserable. The only positive side was Pillow won in a very interesting fashion. He did a good job, but still, it just breaks my heart that we could have had three fantastic storylines. And instead we got the guy who won every race but one this season, winning another. And truthfully, that was fine. Something else that was interesting is the public reception of Penske is really, really fallen, where Joseph Newgarden was actively getting booed and flipped off every lap. They are over it, folks. They are over
that's crazy.
it. Like Roger didn't get booed when he did the Gentleman Start Your Engine, but it was dead quiet, and there were a few people like sort of saying, "What?" And
Yeah.
but yeah, like they were flipping off. There were more than a few people flipping off the old Joseph Newgarden. So, but yeah,
Okay.
the three old timers the two old timers and Connor Daly. Yeah, it pains me to say, but the lights were too bright on Sunday, and guys, hope they all have another chance at it.
Well, with that, ladies and germs, if you see Peyton at Nashville, say hi. Um, he's going to be at the race. Thankfully, it's at night, so he doesn't have to come back and tell us about how he can't have a cooler and died of heat stroke story this year. Hopefully, he comes back with better news. So looking forward to that. Like I said, it's 4 20 through 11 cars in the field this weekend. Corey's back, so hopefully they can make something of that. Maybe they should start giving Riley the experimental setups. He in the back anyway. Just like if he strike gold and you fuck around and finish second or something, and it'll keep it right. Maybe it's not him. Maybe it's his car. Who knows? Um, but be on the lookout for that. I haven't heard any news stories that we need to be concerned with leading up to this weekend in Nashville, so I'll leave y'all to it. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being here. This is a safe space for one and all. Like, comment, subscribe to your mammies, to your Grammys. Other than that, anything for open mic?
I'll just
Still Pacer?
say, I'll be quick. I just want to say, I think we're all kind of guilty of the social media side of NASCAR, right? The NASCAR Twitter side. But when I went to the race on Saturday, one thing that really stood out to me was, we talk about this all the time, but this was an uber diverse crowd. Like, I saw a lot of black people and I saw a lot of brown people there. And if y'all are listening, shout out to y'all. Like, I saw a lot of families out there with little kids. I saw so many little kids that were minorities out there with their parents. That was kind of dope to see. And I was like, man, it isn't just a nameless, faceless Joe X88 on Twitter, like, out here in the fandom. There's some good growth out there. So that was cool to see. So I just wanted to point out one little positive highlight.
So when you
thank you
point out
for,
the kids, it's fine, but when Fox does it, it's a problem.
Well, you see, I ain't got a camera in my hand, so that kind of changes the category of the pointing out. You see, the
Art brought
difference.
up a good point. I just wanted to shout out. There were some members of the Black Auto Enthusiasts Facebook group there at the race.
Yeah.
They had
You
like
oh,
2 or
you
3
you
rows.
peeped? Yeah.
Yeah, I peeped that. So I just want to say we see y'all. I told them that we were going to shout them out this episode. So um, maybe next year our local change will be there in person. We definitely tried to go to the 600 this year, but greener pastures next year. But I just wanted to give them a shout out. Like
Man.
Art said, they were out in full force at 2 3 rows of seats. So looked like everybody had a good time. I'm glad that Art had a good time at the Xfinity race. Shout out to Joe again. Um, and yeah. Let's hopefully the diversity in the stands leads to diversity in Victory Lane.
I know
Bring
that's
back
right.
Victory Lane interviews. Post race. All right, y'all. Enjoy your Wednesday at this point by the time this gets out to you. We catch y'all in a couple days after Nashville. Play my music.